Roll call.
Dickman here.
Johnston here.
Carrillo here.
Lorick here. Kavich here.
Guzekowski here.
Seifert here.
Approval of minutes. Has everybody had a chance to go through the minutes?
Dickman makes a motion that we approve the minutes of the October 24th, 2017 meeting.
Seifert seconds.
Roll call.
Dickman, aye.
Johnston, aye.
Carrillo, aye.
Lorick, aye.
Kavich, aye.
Guzekowski, aye.
Seifert, aye.
Summary of significant common council actions. Carrie?
Council approved the following: an ordinance to approve a conditional use permit for a gasoline service station with convenience store on the property at 9502 South Howlett Avenue. An ordinance to approve a conditional use permit for one licensed tattoo and/or body piercing studio on the property at 8660 South Market Place. An ordinance to approve a conditional use permit for freight yard, freight terminal, transshipment depot uses on the property at 10450 South Oakview Parkway. And an ordinance to amend the conditions and restrictions in ordinance number 2331 to allow outdoor storage and display of ice and propane retail merchandise on the property at 6300 South 27th Street. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Carrie. Our first item up is 5A in new business, a certified survey map submitted by John Thompson, Summerstone LLC, combining the properties at 7705, 7725, 7751, 7831, and 7869 South 13th Street. Carrie?
The proposal is to combine the parcels that are highlighted in red on the screen. Following consolidation, the parcel will be in excess of 24 acres. There is a requirement for no access restriction along Drexel Avenue and a portion of South 13th Street as provided in the conditions of approval. Wetlands are only shown on page 2, however, they should be shown on all pages. There's also a bearing missing on the southeast corner of the parcel. And per the utility, laterals should be abandoned prior to the 13th Street Road project, which is slated to start construction in 2018. Should the Plan Commission wish to recommend council approval, a suggested motion is that the Plan Commission recommends to the Common Council that the certified survey map submitted by John Thompson, Summerstone LLC, for the properties at 7705, 7725, 7751, 7831, and 7869 South 13th Street be approved, subject to conditions 1 through 4. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Carrie. At this time, I'll open it up to the commission for questions, comments. Wally?
Carrie, the comment you had there about no access to Drexel and a portion of 13th Street, what portion are you talking about? If you could point out, I appreciate it.
There would be a portion from the intersection with Drexel Avenue. I'm not entirely certain what that length would be, but it's in order to maintain the safety of that intersection. Perhaps Brian could elaborate on that.
Normally, they're 250 feet back from that intersection, and that's where the turn lanes would come through.
Oh, right in there. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Carrie. And
Brian, with the widening of 13th by the county, will there be a right-hand turn lane?
That's part of what I was going to bring up. What the county is doing now is not what the TIA that was done for the Drexel corridor requires for improvements for that intersection. So there's going to need to be additional real estate at this intersection for those accommodations if we stay in plan with the TIA that was done 2 years ago. So your answer, no, those improvements aren't going to be made yet, but they will be made when this project is developed.
Thank you. Anyone else for comment? Questions? No. Okay, motion.
Dickman will make a motion that the Plan Commission recommends to the Common Council that the certified survey map submitted by John Thompson, Summerstone LLC, for the properties at 7705, 7725, 7751, 7831, and 7869 South 13th Street be approved, subject to the following 4 conditions. Number 1, that the CSM is revised to incorporate the no access restriction along the Drexel Avenue and a portion of 13th Street. Number 2, that the CSM is revised to incorporate all woodlands on all sheets. Number 3, that all unused laterals are abandoned at the main in conformance with Oak Creek water and sewer utility requirements. And 4, that all technical corrections, including but not limited to spelling errors, minor coordinate geometry corrections, and corrections required for compliance with the municipal code and Wisconsin statutes are made prior to recording.
Seifert seconds.
Roll call.
Dickman, aye.
Johnston, aye.
Lorick, aye.
Bekavich, aye.
Guzekowski, aye.
Seifert, aye.
Excellent. Moving on, 5B, we have a rezone requested by John Thompson, Summerstone LLC to rezone the properties at 7705, 7751, 7831 South 13th Street from RS3 Single Family to B4 Highway Business.
The proposal is to rezone to B4 in advance of pursuing a mixed-use PUD on the properties. There are some things that I'd like to point out. The properties that are in green on the screen were previously rezoned to B4 in October. The properties in red are the properties that are being requested to be rezoned to B4 as we speak about them. Existing parcels in the immediate area are zoned for residential, commercial, and institutional uses, and within 1,000 feet are manufacturing and park uses. The B4 Highway Business District is intended to provide for the orderly and attractive grouping at appropriate locations along federal, state, and county highway routes of those businesses and customer services which are logically related to and dependent upon highway traffic, or which are specifically designed to serve the need of such traffic. The parcels are located along a county highway, which is 13th Street, and adjacent to the larger parcel, which is along I-94. Therefore, staff has determined that the request for rezoning of the parcels meets the district requirements. Should the Plan Commission recommend approval, there is a suggested motion that the Plan Commission recommends to the Common Council that the properties at 7705, 7751, and 7831 South 13th Street be rezoned from RS3 Single Family Residential to B4 Highway Business after a public hearing. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Carrie. At this time, I'll open it up for questions from the commission.
I just have a question for Carrie. Are those homes that are in that zone change, are they already sold, or what's the status of those?
Properties, if they have not already closed, are currently in the process of being acquired by the applicant.
Thank you.
That kind of took care of my question. I was going to say, is it the homeowners or is it the applicant that acquired the B4 property already?
Acquisition is in progress.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, motion.
Seifert moves that the Planning Commission recommends to the Common Council that the properties at 7705, 7751, and 7831 South 13th Street be rezoned from RS3 Single Family Residential to B4 Highway Business after a public hearing.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call.
Dickman, aye.
Johnston, aye.
Lorick, aye.
Bekavich, aye.
Guzekowski, aye.
Seifert, aye.
5C, plan review. Review site and building plan submitted by Samuel Dickman Jr., 4545 LLC for a multi-tenant industrial building on the property at 10651 South Oakview Parkway.
The request is for a multi-tenant industrial building in Oakview Business Park. It's a 137,028 square foot building at this time. Applicant is providing for a maximum of 4 tenants. This is considered a sister building to the property that is to the northeast of this. It was approved for a multi-tenant industrial building just similar to this one. All setbacks appear to be met in the proposal. There are 42 loading docks on the west side of the building, 49 stalls for semi-trailer parking that are provided on the south side of the building in this area here. The number and exact location of the docks on the west side and the 2 overhead doors that are seen in the plans can be modified to meet future tenant needs. Employee and visitor parking is provided on the east. There are 141 stalls that are provided for in the plans. The minimum requirement for manufacturing is 1 stall for every employee at peak shift, and the minimum requirement for warehousing is 1 stall for every 5,000 gross square feet of floor area, plus 1 for every peak employee. At this time, it's anticipated that about 75 employees would be on site for one daytime shift, and the hours of operation are anticipated to be between 6 a.m. and 10 p.m. Monday through Friday. It is possible that those operations would extend to Saturday. Hours will likely change based on tenant operational needs. No tenants have been identified at this time. The requirements appear to be met with the proposed number of parking stalls. There is also a future expansion area of parking for visitor and employees on the south side. 14 stalls are shown here. Semi-trailer parking would be permanently screened by a 16-foot tall wall on either side of the south driveway. And the wall is proposed to be of the same material and color as the building. So there's a 16-foot wall right west of this future parking area to screen the trailer parking, and then just south of the building in this area to screen the trailers on that side. Landscape plans have also been submitted. Landscaping is shown north of this, on the north side of the, screening on the east side of the north screen wall for the trailer parking. Also shown on the east elevation and on the east and within the parking lot and along the north property line. The future parking area would only be constructed if needed, and therefore staff is making a recommendation that additional landscaping be installed in this area at the time that the parking lot would be constructed. Then that landscaping could be moved. Staff will continue work with the applicant's consultants on landscaping amendments, and final approval would be by the Director of Community Development as per the suggested conditions of approval. The building itself, we had some updates this morning that were sent out and are provided to each of you. The primary exterior building materials are precast insulated concrete panels in 3 shades of tan. Tinted windows are provided on all but the west elevation. Spandrel windows are provided above 9 feet to screen internal ceiling components. This is the same kind of design as the sister building at 10450 South Oakview Parkway. They did add some metal sunshades over the entrances on the east per staff recommendation, so thank you for that. There are no mechanicals shown, however, there was some information provided in the narrative that they would be screened by the 4-foot-tall roof parapets. As a reminder, all ground building and rooftop mechanical units, transformers, and utility boxes are required to be screened per code. For the water and sewer utility, again, we are asking for the laterals that are going to be unused to be abandoned at the main, and a reminder that no trees or large shrubs will be placed over the public main. We did receive some indication that there would be additional comments from the engineering department. Staff will defer to Commissioner Johnston to provide those. However, the suggested motion is that the Plan Commission approves the site and building plans submitted by Sam Dickman Jr. of the Dickman Company for the property at 10651 South Oakview Parkway, subject to conditions 1 through 9. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Carrie. At this time, questions? Fred?
Yeah. I was just curious about the truck traffic. How many trucks are they going to be having coming and going on a daily basis? Because we've got truck traffic on the north end with,
We can bring the applicant up, but I don't know if they've established a tenant yet.
just a rough idea of what we probably have for.
Name and address, please.
Sam Dickman, 9410 North Lake Drive, Bayside. At this point, we don't have any tenants signed up, so it's sort of difficult to give you an idea as to what the truck traffic is going to be, but my understanding is, or my anticipation is that it won't be any greater than what we have at the sister building to the north.
Okay. Approximately, how many trucks we got coming and going through there? Any idea?
20 to 25 a day.
Curious because we've got the other facility just north of there, plus FedEx and Oakwood is going to be,
Yeah, it's definitely a distribution corner, that is for sure. It's turning
You know,
into
that
one.
the market's telling us, providing the tenants for us, and these are distribution tenants, so that's what's coming.
Any other questions while the applicant's up?
Me.
Go ahead,
I'm
Fred.
just going to ask about the wall. Was there a wall that we were talking of? That you're
Talking
putting
about
up?
putting up a screen wall
Screen wall.
to, actually two of them, to screen the trailers from the street.
Okay.
It won't be visible.
What's the height of that wall again?
18 feet, something like that, high enough so that a trailer would not be visible from the street.
Plans are showing 16 feet.
I lied
Thank you.
for 2 feet.
Okay. And then the canopies were, you discussed that with staff and we're good with
Yes,
canopies.
we added those canopies.
And then they talked about possibly just changing the color of the design. We're good with that on the building to break it up from
We're
sister
open to-
building?
We're open to doing that.
Okay. And then the trash enclosure.
I think we've changed so that we do have
I think we've come to,
screened the trash enclosure as well.
okay, great. Anybody else?
Good.
Brian?
Just the additional comments from engineering. We're just working with the engineer on it, working through the stormwater issues, so.
Thank you.
Wally?
No, I just want to say, I think the building looks pretty darn nice.
Yes, yeah, it's a,
And they made some minor changes, and
Yes.
I think, did enhance it also.
Thank you.
So I'm certainly all for the look of the building. I do agree with Fred, the traffic's a little concerning there, especially on the
Yeah.
main road, but that's what we set it up there for, that property to house something like this. So I guess we'll have to go forward with it.
Greg, anything? Dawn? Okay. Nothing else? Motion.
Clerk will move that the Plan Commission approve the site and building plan submitted by Sam Dickman Jr., Dickman Company for the property at 10651 South Oakview Parkway with the following conditions. Number one, that all building and fire codes are met. Number two, that the elevations are revised to incorporate canopies and/or decorative elements similar to the applicant's existing building at 10450 South Oakview Parkway. Number
If I can
three-
interrupt for just
Oh.
a second, actually, number 2 has already been addressed.
Yeah, they added that. Okay. So eliminate two.
Oh, number two, that the plans are revised to include details for the proposed dumpster enclosure and that a more durable material such as composite is used for the gate on the dumpster enclosure. Number three, that all revised plans, site, building, landscaping, etc., are submitted in digital format for review and approval by the Department of Community Development prior to the submission of building permit applications. Number four, that detailed plans for signage are reviewed and approved by the Plan Commission prior to submission of signed permit applications for the multi-tenant building. If the building is revised to accommodate only one tenant with no possibility of future tenants, a sign plan will not be required prior to issuance of sign permits. Number five, that all mechanical equipment, ground, building, and rooftop is screened from view. Number six, that final lighting plans indicating luminaire type, pole type, color, and height are submitted for final approval by the Director of Community Development upon written recommendation of the electrical inspector prior to submission of building permit applications. Number seven, that stormwater and grading plans are submitted for final approval by the engineering department prior to issuance of permits. And number eight, that all water and sewer utility connections are coordinated with the Oak Creek Water and Sewer Utility.
If I can interject one more thing. On the revised elevations that were received this morning, it appears that number 3, or the former number 3, that plans are revised to include details for the proposed dumpster enclosure. Those details are now included, so we can eliminate that condition of approval as well.
Number 3 is now gone.
So you'll have conditions 1 through 7.
Dickman will second.
Roll call.
Dickman, aye.
Johnston, aye.
Clark, aye.
Gavich, aye.
Guzekowski, aye.
Seifert, aye.
Next, item D, conditional use permit, review a request submitted by Samuel Dickman Jr., 4545 LLC, for a conditional use permit for a freight yard / freight terminal transshipment depot uses on the property at 10651 South Oakview Parkway. Carrie.
The request is for similar uses as the sister building at 10450 South Oakview Parkway. As we just discussed in the site plan review, this is a 137 square foot multi-tenant industrial building. Approximately 75 employees are anticipated during a daytime shift between 6 a.m. and 10 p.m. Monday through Friday, possibly Saturday hours. Truck parking is provided on the south, as we discussed, and according to the submitted narrative, they are anticipating approximately 30 daily deliveries by semi-trailer. No outdoor storage other than the screened semi-trailer parking and trash enclosure has been requested. And again, as a reminder, the sign plan for the building must be submitted for review and approval by the Plan Commission, should this be a multi-tenant building and not a single tenant. Should the Plan Commission choose to recommend approval, there is a suggested motion that the Plan Commission recommends that the Common Council approves the conditional use permit for freight yard, freight terminal, transshipment depot uses on the property at 10651 South Oakview Parkway after a public hearing and subject to conditions and restrictions that will be prepared for the Commission's review at the next meeting, which is November 28th. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Carrie. Again, we will open it up to the commission. Wally.
Okay, I just want to ask you, on their Plan Commission application that they, that you provided here, you talked about frequency of deliveries, 30, they expect, 30 semi-trailers, but no, I assume that's per day. But when they say deliveries, that's coming to the place. Do they have another 30 that are going out after they, split everything up and have more trucks, or what?
That
they can
was
address
not specified in the narrative.
I'm just curious, again, as far as how much truck traffic we have. Is there anybody that can answer that? Mr. Dickman?
Sam Dickman Jr., 2224 East Kensington Boulevard in Shorewood. We don't know how many, but that 30 is probably coming and going.
Coming and going,
They'll
okay.
pick up and drop off. What we're trying to do is, per the zoning code right now, if you have a warehouse user that's not manufacturing, this freight terminal allows that use. So as we get tenants in, we're trying to get ahead of the game because it takes a while to get the zoning once we find that tenant, and they want to get in fairly quickly once we get some tenants.
I do understand, most of the comments made here were kind of guesses that you're
Correct.
looking ahead, and hopefully it'll work out that way. Okay,
Correct.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chris? Nothing? Motion.
Seifert moves that the planning commission recommends that the common council approves a conditional use permit for freight yard, freight terminal, transshipment depot used on the property at 10651 South Oakview Parkway after a public hearing and subject to conditions and restrictions that will be prepared for the commission's review at the next meeting, November 28, 2017.
Kuzikowski, second.
Roll call.
Dickman, aye.
Johnson, aye.
Lorick, aye.
Gavich, aye.
Kuzikowski.
Seifert, aye.
Item 5E, affidavit of correction. Review an affidavit of correction submitted by Susan Sorrentino, SBR Law Group LLC for the properties at 9900 and 9941 South Ridgeview Drive. Carrie?
This application is to correct a previously recorded CSM. It's CSM 7884, in which this CSM referred to an outlot that was never actually shown, and a vacation of a portion of Ridgeview Drive, which never occurred. There is no plan to pursue the vacation at this time, therefore the applicant is recommending and requesting that both references be removed and that there are no other changes included. The utility requires unused water and sewer laterals for those properties to be abandoned at the main. However, there is no proposal for any development of those properties at this time. So it will be at the commission's discretion whether that condition will actually be needed or if it's something that would just be an FYI for any future development in the area. Again, any development would have to abide by utility requirements in any instance. The suggested motion is that the Plan Commission recommends to the Common Council that the affidavit of correction submitted by Susan Sorrentino of SBR Law Group LLC for the properties at 9900 and 9941 South Ridgeview Drive be approved, subject to conditions 1 and 2, and keep in mind that condition 1 may be removed.
Thank you, Carrie. Questions from the commission?
Pretty clean.
Okay.
Any problems with it, though?
Just a question regarding condition 1. Is it gonna be any harm if we leave it in? Will this benefit us in the future possibly, or
It's still
avoid
going-
problems in the future?
It's still going to be a requirement. I spoke to Attorney Sorrentino on the phone this afternoon, and there was a question about whether that was actually needed because there is no development proposed at this time. There is no vacation of the right-of-way that they are pursuing at this time. This is really a correction instrument to remove errors on the map. So adding a condition of approval doesn't really get us anywhere. It doesn't do anything other than put people on notice that in the future this would be required, but taking it off doesn't remove the requirement to do it anyway.
I mean, it's commission's discretion, but I don't think it does any harm to put a flag up for somebody in the
The
future.
future, yeah.
Leave it in.
I personally would, but again,
It won't impact them as far as if they're trying to sell a property or anything like that. If it's in there, I guess it's,
What's information?
okay. Leave it in.
There's no development, so, and if there are no unused laterals, the requirement is kind of moot at this point, but
okay, anything else? Motion.
Dick will make a motion, the Plan Commission recommends to the Common Council that the affidavit of correction submitted by Susan Sorrentino, SBR Law Group, LLC, for the properties at 9900 and 9941 South Ridgeview Drive be approved, subject to the two following conditions. Number 1, that all unused laterals are abandoned at the main in conformance with the Oak Creek water and sewer utility requirements. Number 2, that all technical corrections, including but not limited to spelling errors, minor coordinate geometry corrections, and corrections required for compliance with the municipal code and Wisconsin statutes are made prior to recording.
Seifert seconds.
Roll call.
Dickman, aye.
Johnston, aye.
Lorick, aye.
Kavich, aye.
Guzekowski, aye.
Seifert, aye.
Okay. Item F, rezone. Review a request by Chris Nicholson, Zune America, Inc., to rezone the property at 8142 South 6th Street from B4 Highway Business to DTS MUPDD, Drexeltown Square Mixed Use Planned Development District. Carrie.
it's actually an error. The original request was for rezoning to DTS MUPDD. The request was changed per staff recommendation to LM1 Light Manufacturing District. My apologies for the error. The proposal is to rezone in advance of developing the property with a new headquarters facility for Zune America. And the conceptual site plan is on your screen at this time. For those who are not familiar, Zune provides customer service and support for their digital cutter machines. The existing parcels are zoned for mixed-use, commercial, and manufacturing uses in the area. This property, by virtue of its location, would serve as a transition between DTS and manufacturing uses to the south and southeast, which is why staff recommended rezoning to LM1 Light Manufacturing. The district is intended to provide for a mix of low impact of a limited nature and size, manufacturing, industrial, wholesaling, limited warehousing, research and development, engineering and testing, and related service facilities and uses which occur within enclosed buildings and which do not have an adverse effect upon the district in which the use is located. There would be no manufacturing of the cutting machines themselves in this facility. Instead, there would be service and repair of equipment, demonstrations and testing, office, and limited warehousing uses. Staff's analysis has determined that the proposal conforms to the intent of the LM1 Light Manufacturing District and its allowed uses. Should the Plan Commission agree, a suggested motion is that the Plan Commission recommends to the Common Council that the property at 8142 South 6th Street be rezoned from B4 Highway Business to LM1 Light Manufacturing after a public hearing. Mr. Mayor.
Very much, Carrie. We'll open it up to the commission. Questions? Comments? Nothing.
I think I know I personally am glad to see they're coming here. It's a little different type property, and it's right close to Drexel town square. So even though it's not part of it, I think it'd be a good addition.
I agree with you, and the LM1 that we are going to, actually, they're not going to be manufacturing, so they speak. It'll be more demonstrations for the products that they put out. So,
Yeah. Good, yeah.
Good.
all right. I've seen conceptuals. Maybe you've seen it. Actually, it's positioned a little different than I pictured. I actually thought the front entrance would go west, but again, it's supposed to be a very abstract, neat, unique building. So, good addition.
Very good, great addition.
Okay. Motion.
Seifert moves that the Plan Commission recommends to the Common Council that the property at 8142 South 6th Street be rezoned from B4 Highway Business to LM1 Light Manufacturing after a public hearing.
Kuzikowski, second.
Roll call.
Hickman, aye.
Johnston, aye.
Lorick, aye.
Bukavich, aye.
Kuzikowski, aye.
Seifert, aye.
Item G, a plan review. Review site and building plan submitted by Lonnie Spicer, Harris, French, and Associates on behalf of Love's Corporation for an addition to the existing tire shop on the property at 9650 South 20th. Carrie.
The request is for an addition, a 60.5 by 12.5 oil alcove addition to the existing tire shop on the property. It's outlined in red on the screen ahead of you, and it's in addition to the south side of that building. They are not proposing to remove any truck parking that's in that area. The proposed addition is highlighted in red on your screen now. These are the elevations for the proposal. There are no mechanicals shown. However, all mechanicals, again, do need to be screened. The proposal meets all setback requirements, and it's being constructed on existing impervious surface, so there's no need for any landscaping. The proposed exterior building materials are fiber cement panel siding to match the existing building. Per code, the use of fiber cement products requires a 3/4 majority approval of the Plan Commission, and code also requires that the facade of a manufacturing, commercial, office, institutional, or park building be finished with an aesthetically pleasing material. A minimum of 75% of the visible perimeter shall be finished with an acceptable glass, brick, or decorative masonry material. Therefore, the Plan Commission needs to determine whether a fiber cement product fulfills this requirement. The fire department has also provided some comments stating that they need to be contacted to discuss fire suppression requirements for the building. Should the Plan Commission feel that the proposed addition is appropriate, the suggested motion is that the Plan Commission approves the site and building plans for the oil alcove addition to the existing tire shop building located at 9650 South 20th Street, subject to conditions 1 through 4. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Carrie. We'll open it up to the commission. Questions, comments? Wally.
I was just curious what they mean by oil alcove addition. Are they going to store oil in there, or what does it mean? Because it's a tire place. The building itself is for installing tires. Anybody here?
There were no details that were provided in the narrative. That's the oil alcove addition language came from the plans. That's why the fire department wants them to be contacted so that they can discuss exactly what's going to be stored here and what the fire suppression needs would be based on what would be stored.
I think we'll let them speak for themselves, right?
We'll take a kick at it. Mike Kresick, Fire Department. I had dealt with Mr. Lonnie Spicer previously when this structure was first constructed. And we had talked about at that time the use of the facility and the need for fire suppression and detection at that point. Understanding it's a rather unique location on that site, now that they're looking at an addition to it and potentially expanding the services provided there, we're going to reopen that discussion about the suppression and detection needs and what may be required on that particular site. So I don't have an answer on what additional services they'll be providing, but hence our request to discuss it prior to making a final determination.
Mike, is the existing building sprinkled or have suppression of some sort?
The existing tire repair structure does not, no.
Wasn't required to as a commercial building?
Because of size and other accommodations they had made, it was not at that time.
Okay, will the addition push it over that size limit to sprinkle?
Potentially, and also based on what they're going to do with that space. The existing structure, the existing Love structure is sprinkled.
Oh. Okay.
This is a.
This is an ancillary building.
Exactly, correct,
Okay.
correct.
For some reason, I had an addition in my head. Okay. But everything has to run through the state plans anyways, from your perspective, correct? Or is this something you guys do locally?
We would perform this locally. There would also be some state requirements as potentially with the building permit. I couldn't comment on that, on what building inspection we require. What we would be comparing their plans to, though, are based on the state requirements, which locally there isn't a whole lot of difference between the two. So we would be running it through the same requirements as with the state of Wisconsin.
I would very much favor some sort of fire protection put in that building.
So would we. Absolutely. I did, as a point of reference, dealing with Mr. Lonnie Spicer last time, very easy to work with. We were able to come up with some solutions for, the layout of the structure. So I don't anticipate this will be a significant issue.
All right, questions? Chris, anything?
I just, with not knowing exactly what the use is going to be with that alcove, part of me says, should we hold this because we need more answers? But on the other side, if Chief is saying we're going to get him by the time he's done working with them with the fire suppression system, if everyone's okay with it, then
Well, they do have to meet all fire codes. I mean, as long as they're meeting our codes that are acceptable of our fire department, I guess I can be comfortable with that. Because if they are storing something that's hazardous or hazmat material, our code should cover that.
That would be correct. And if we think about the scope of the structure, it is a truck stop, a national chain.
Yep.
So I'm sure what they're adding on is typical for most of their other locations. So what we anticipate is rather routine truck repair operations,
All right.
maintenance items like that.
I think I could be comfortable with that moving forward.
yes, sir.
Anybody else? Okay. Thank you, Mike. Motion.
Guzekowski makes a motion that the Plan Commission approves the site and building plans for the oil alcove addition to the existing tire shop building located at 8650 South 20th Street with the following conditions: that all building and fire codes are met. 2, that all revised plans, site, building, lighting, details, elevations, etc. are submitted in digital format for review and approval by the Department of Community Development prior to submission of building permit application. And 3, that all mechanical equipment, ground, building, and rooftop is screened from view. 4, that the final site grading and drainage plans are approved by the engineering department.
Seifert seconds.
Roll call.
Hickman, aye.
Johnston, aye.
Clark, aye.
Kavich, aye.
Guzekowski, aye.
Seifert, aye.
All right. Next on the docket is H, zoning text amendment. We're going to review an amendment to the definition of beauty shop in Chapter 17 of the city's zoning ordinance. Pete?
That'll be me. Recently, the city has come aware of new cosmetology techniques that are being conducted in the city. It's known as microblading or micropigmentation, and then included in a report I provided some background information explaining exactly what that is. These type of services are to have either semi or permanent makeup applied to a customer's face. The state regulates it as a tattooing type service. Currently, we only allow tattooing in our B2 and B4 district as a conditional use. Because some of this use is so focused with cosmetology or a beauty shop, we felt that maybe the best way to go forward to not to cause so many conditional uses for a tattoo studio, which we really probably would want to limit in this city, but not necessarily limit getting your eyebrows filled in or lipstick on your lips or something like that, which is a little bit different than going to a more traditional tattoo parlor or studio where you get the full, shoulder, back, whatever, big, large tattoo art on your body. So right now, our code doesn't differentiate between tattoo studio and microblading and micropigmentation. So staff is proposing to create a definition in the definition section of the code that would spell out specifically that as part of a beauty shop, would consist of services that deal with hair care, skin care, nail care, licensed facial microblading, and facial micropigmentation, tanning, and hair removal. Included with the definition, we'd say piercing, tattooing, and massage therapy are not included as part of a definition of a beauty shop. So that way, you still have your tattoo studio as a conditional use. You have your massage therapy as a conditional use, but we don't lump in microblading and micropigmentation with tattooing. Having said that, staff makes the suggestion motion that the Planning Commission recommends to the Common Council that Section 17.1402 be amended to include the definition of a beauty shop as a commercial establishment where cosmetology services are offered, which may include hair care, skin care, nail care, licensed facial microblading, and facial micropigmentation, tanning, and hair removal. Piercing, tattooing, and massage therapy are not included. So we after a public hearing. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Pete. A lot of information. I'm learning a whole lot about this stuff here. Never thought of before. Are there any questions or comments for Fred? Come on, you got to have a question.
What zoning does this fall under?
Beauty shops fall under actually all of the commercial
Okay.
zoning districts, so B1, 2, 3, and 4.
Okay. It just wasn't, I didn't see it stated, that's all.
Yeah, so it would be allowed in all our commercial districts, where right now we only allow tattooing as a conditional use in the B2 and the B4.
Is this state regulated?
Yes. And that's what caused the conflict when these beauty salons started providing the service. They needed to get a tattoo license from the state.
Oh.
Well, if you get a tattoo license, well, then you should be also approved from a zoning perspective as a tattoo studio. And we worked with the city attorney talking about, okay, how can we do this and not get in a position where we approve this and all of a sudden a tattoo studio wants to go in every commercial district, because we're tattoo regulated by the state just like micropigmentation and microblading. And that's why in the definition, this is where, splitting hairs, is that microblading is facial, micropigmentation is facial. So if you're going to do a tattoo studio, then you have the whole body to work with. But if you're going to do micropigmentation or anything kind of tattooing on the face, then you're limited to this microblading or micropigmentation type tattooing process.
I'll have to admit, Pete, that when I was reading this this weekend and then again last night, you learn something new every day. And I guess I just didn't realize this was all out there. And I'm sure I've been seeing it all around me. I just didn't recognize it. So I was surprised to see this. This is all out there and that we need to account for, but it's probably a good thing that we do. So,
We did do a survey of surrounding areas, and this is a newer service, so a lot of zoning codes don't even address this yet. So we'll probably be one of the first that identify this type of cosmetology service in our zoning code. Some said we don't even know we have that going on in our city. Others said tattooing. Others said, they see it as cosmetology. We don't have a definition for cosmetology in there. So we have a definition already, or we need a definition for beauty shop, which is a use identified in our code already.
thank you.
Dawn?
While we're doing this, can we update the 1960s called beauty shop?
We did have men's beauty shop and women's beauty shop and men's clothing store and women's clothing store.
But
So we
beauty
do
shop,
have that.
Can we call it a salon? Can we call it, I mean, is it?
This is a definition accepted by the Planning Association, so that's why we're keeping with it. Good news is we are updating in 2018 our zoning code completely. So Chapter 17 will be revised and updated, and maybe with the help of our consultant, they could find something that identifies beauty shop versus salon versus day spa. Because I mean, even day spas are a whole thing that allows probably microblading, hair care, skin care, massage therapy. We don't even really address that in our code right now. But maybe next year we will.
Do dermatologists also do that? Was it microblading and micropigmentation? Because they're doing so much changes now, cosmetics, it's
Not that I'm aware of. That is more skincare, but I guess that would be identified as a professional medical office more so than tattooing.
We're just trying to differentiate it.
Exactly. The concern is we wouldn't want necessarily open up Drexel Town Square to tattoo studios. I think we don't want to see Main Street being your, tattoo service provider, just like, your cell phone provider. There's certain things that we don't want Main Street to look like. So the idea is, all right, as a beauty salon or a beauty shop or however you want to name the cosmetology center, that this would be a way to define it.
Well, this definitely seems like it's more business friendly and opens up some options for salons.
And it reduces the bureaucratic review process of the conditional use. You have a conditional use, the whole process that goes with it. Here, it would be an outright permitted use. They wouldn't have, as part of their occupancy as a beauty shop, they would be able to allow that service without going through the hoops of a conditional use permit.
Like you guys did your homework on that.
I learned way much more about cosmetology than I ever thought I would. I guess the good thing I have 4 daughters. I'll be able to put this to good use in the near future.
So, any other questions for Pete? Okay, if not, motion.
Oh, that's a good one for you. Okay.
Clerk will move that the Plan Commission recommends to the Common Council that Section 17.1402 be amended to include the definition of a beauty shop as a commercial establishment where cosmetology services are offered, which may include hair care, skin care, nail care, licensed facial microblading, and facial micropigmentation, tanning and hair removal. Piercing, tattooing, and massage therapy are not included after a public hearing. Guzekowski, second.
Roll call.
Hickman, aye.
Johnson, aye.
Grillo, aye.
Lorick, aye.
Gavich, aye.
Guzekowski, aye.
Seifert, aye.
Item 5I is another zoning text amendment. We will review an amendment to the required setbacks in section 17.03170, sub G of the city's zoning ordinance. Pete?
And if you recall, earlier this year, we adopted the LM1 Limited Manufacturing Zoning District. And the purpose of that district was to be that bridge or compatible use between the manufacturing, which could be heavy duty stuff, and your commercial districts. And so when we came up with that, it was a blend of uses that would be allowed in the M1, also, some of your more intense uses in B4. The idea was, all right, we're going to come up with a hybrid type zoning district. Well, when we were developing it, we went with the more restrictive setbacks, which was the M1 district, which was 40 feet. And so, or 30 feet. And at that time, it seemed applicable. But as we reviewed and evaluated exactly what type of uses are in the M1 or in this LM1 district, we felt that they were more in line with the B4 when it came to buildings and how they would be set back from the road. So right now, we're proposing reducing that setback from 30 feet to 25 feet. The thought behind that is these are less intense uses. You can bring them a little bit closer to the road. You don't need that distance as much as you do for the heavier manufacturing uses. And so at this time, we're proposing to reduce that, and it'll be more in line with the B4. The result of doing this would help increase the amount of area that could be developed, and so provide a benefit to the uses that could be proposed in the LM1 district. Having said that, staff suggests the motion, if the Plan Commission agrees that this amendment should be made, that the Plan Commission recommends to the Common Council that Section 1703170 sub G be amended to reduce the building front setback from a road or a right-of-way from 30 feet to 25 feet after a public hearing.
Thank you, Pete. Questions? Seems pretty straightforward.
I'm
Just assuming that, that section 17.031, that is what applies to the LM1, is that right?
Yes,
Okay,
it's
I thought
specific
so,
to
but I saw
the,
that.
to the front setback, and so
Okay.
that would be the only change in the code, would be that specific section that would reduce it from 30 to 25 feet.
I'm just, I'm glad, I forgot how long ago that was that we just changed this over, but I'm glad that you guys identified, hey, this is, we need to kind of make some tweaks to this for better, as it fits the city better. So thank you for looking at it and bringing it back to us.
Anyone else? Fred, anything?
Good to me.
Okay, me too. If not, motion.
Seifert moves that the Plan Commission recommends to the Common Council that Section 17.03170 per NG be amended to reduce the building front setback from a road or right-of-way from 30 feet to 25 feet after a public hearing.
Kuzikowski will second.
Roll call.
Hickman, aye.
Johnson, aye.
Grillo, aye.
Lorick, aye.
Kavich, aye.
Kuzikowski, aye.
Seifert, aye.
That brings us to adjournment.
Grillo adjourns at 6:51.
Seifert seconds.
Sorry, can we restate that? Motion, please.
Oh, Grillo moves to adjourn at 6:51.
Seifert seconds.
Roll call.
Hickman, aye.
Johnson, aye.
Grillo, aye.
Lorick, aye.
Kavich, aye.
Kuzikowski, aye.
Seifert, aye.
Like to thank everybody for tuning in. Thank our staff. Well prepared again. Very smooth meeting. Our IT guy, as usual, got everything right on the screen. I'd like to remind the public that Celebrations put up a couple Christmas trees. They are in the lobby at City Hall, and they are giving trees. So if you take one of the ornaments off there, you will find a gift that will be donated to the Salvation Army for a needy child or young adult that has a little less than others. So please show your generosity and empty those trees of the ornaments. Drop-offs can be done at the library during their operational hours. So again, for those of you going hunting, successful, safe hunt. Good luck. Thank you.